Well, thank you for this wonderful movie that all of you made. And I would like, since time is of the essence, so I will start right away with a question, and let's try to keep it in a minute each question. And Catherine, you've been involved in Tell It Like a Woman since the beginning, and you have wrote Pepsi and Kim, Elbows Deep, and you directed the music video, the dance version of the music video, and you directed Elbows Deep, and on top of that, you suggested the title of the movie. So, so let's start with you. How was this experience?
Well, I thought it was exciting that you had this idea. Can you guys hear me? No? Oh. Hello? How about this? Okay. What an exciting idea that, you know, all these directors from around the world would direct something. So I wanted to find inspiring women like Kim. Whoa. The real Kim Carter. I read about her. I went down to her offices and met her, and she told me that incredible story about, you know, this moment where she could have gone one way, killed somebody, or she could have gone to, you know, rehab and made herself into the amazing person she is now. And I thought, I want to tell that story, and then, which was pretty cool. Yeah. And then another incredible one, where's Dr. P, Susan Partovi, who is our renegade. Oh, yeah, right there. Yay, the renegade MD of Skid Row. I found out about her incredible story and how she goes and works with the most vulnerable people, and, you know, and then Jasmine is our beautiful nurse in the show. Yay. And so I just was very excited to tell these two stories about these amazing women that people should know about, and the people they care for, too.
Leonor, tell us about your involvement. It's very personal for you. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yes, indeed, Chiara. Well, you know it very well because I became a member of the board of We Do It Together once you brought this project to my husband, Lucas Akoskin, who's also the producer of this movie. And I immediately wanted and felt very compelled to join the board of directors because I've been working in this industry, in the film industry, for 30 years, and I could really see the change, but I could see how much more needed to be changed, and how much being the object really bothered me. How many times I was asked to be on the cover of Playboy or do things that just really didn't make me feel comfortable as a female, and how important it is for that narrative to come from us. And those images, I remember as a Latin girl seeing the first Talisa Soto being in a James Bond girl. I was like, wow, somebody like me. And so I really knew the importance of telling the stories with our voices, with our faces. And so when the opportunity in the movie came together, Lucia Puenzo, who is the director of the Lago Negro segment, invited me to be a part of this, which I was obviously very happy and honored to do. And also met a great friend. Eva Longoria has become a sister of mine, and it's been such a beautiful gift to have a sister out of this female-driven project.
Yes, that's very true. We are all bonding all the time. We're traveling together. We're a community now. So, Kim, your story is incredible. And how did you transform your pain and suffering and turn it into a passion and purpose?
First of all, I want to say, yeah, United Nations! It is Women's History Month, and we are here. We ain't going nowhere. We're not going to be invisible no more. That's what I want to say. You know, when I think about the pain and the suffering I could have easily decided that my life was not worth living. But see, the little girl inside, she was like, it's not over yet. We're going to have to overcome some stuff and do some things, but we're going to use that pain and suffering not as a shame or a guilt, but as power. I want to hear you say power.
Power!
Power! Power!
Power!
We're going to use that pain for passion and purpose, and we're going to walk into our power because we are women and we have birthed this nation.
Woo!
That's how I did it.
Leena, tell us a little bit what does it mean to be a woman director in India?
Honestly, I mean, over the years, the representation of women in filmmaking has increased, but like we heard in the statistics, it's very, very slow. It comes with some challenges, and I believe those are challenges that are worldwide, not just specific to India. But yeah, we just got to do it. Like she said, we just need to do it, and that's the way I function. When I need to do it, I just need to do it. And always I do find a way. So.
Thank you. And Jasmine, what was your experience in Tell It Like a Woman?
My experience on Tell It Like a Woman was like no other. So I've been on several sets before, but it's always been male dominant. And being on a full woman production cast, just everything was mind-blowing, and it was such a great experience. I enjoyed every minute of it. Everyone was super nice. Everyone was so supportive. And I hope and pray that, that this continues and that I can be on more women-dominant casts, because it was just great to be a woman and go to the director and she's a woman, and go, the producer and my castmates. It was an amazing experience, and I hope I can continue to experience that more in the future.
Catherine, you are one of the most successful female directors, having done Twilight to the Oscar nominee movie 13. Please tell us your experience in the treatment of women in the industry.
Well, yeah, it's a tough one, because I got to direct the movie Twilight because they didn't think it was going to be a hit. All the studios, didn't. So they thought, we'll just hire a woman. It wasn't intended to be the blockbuster. It was a little tiny, studio, brand new film company summit. So once it became a hit, unfortunately, all the other movies after mine, which were 4 more Twilights, were all directed by men. And then they did 5 more movies like Hunger Games that were based on a young woman, written books by women, but all directed by men. So they didn't really learn the lesson, women could direct this movie. And I think that was disappointing for me. I was disappointed after that. Even though I had a movie that made $400 million, it was hard to get another job. Oh, that was just a fluke, that was a special circumstance. I was turned down from even interviewing for other jobs, because we think a guy should direct this, because this has action in it, or it has visual effects. So people really, it's a challenge. Yeah,
it is.
You did it.
And Leonor, as a mother, why is having the motherhood narrative important in media, or in general, the narrative of women as a subject, not as an object?
I have a little girl, she's 8 years old. And for her to experience this world in a way that is kinder to women than it was to me is very important. Not only as a female, but as a human being too. The type of planet we're leaving behind, and most importantly, the culture that she's being fed, and how I try to shield her from media or things, because I think it's so toxic, or social media. And so for me to be a part of something like this is very important. I want her to see her mom doing things that are going to make this world hopefully better, not only for us, but for the entire human race.
Kim, how has life placed you on the front line to fight against women's inequality?
Well, I didn't know inside of me was going to be this fire that would just be raging and burning. And it was an evolution of finding my voice and my power. And so I found myself on the front lines fighting for women's rights in our areas, in the areas of housing. I fight for women to get their children back out of the foster care system. I fight for people to be able to get equal pay. I mean, I fight for so many rights. I'm just always fighting. And it's like, well, how did I get here? You know? I find myself in a room, in a male-dominated room, being the only voice of reason. Like, if you would just listen and do what I say do, we might be able to get this thing solved. And I found out that I was a revolutionary, and that somewhere in my DNA, I must be related to a Harriet Tubman or a Fannie Lou Hamer, or a little bit of Marcus Garvey. I would like to think of King sometime, but I don't think we really related. But I just know that in my DNA, there is a person that says we're going to stand up. So I'm going to tell you, stand up, give yourself an applause, because we do deserve it, because we are here. And we get it done. So when I think about we do it together, we did that. We did that. We will continue to raise the voices of women in our stories. See, the only thing about we do it together is you guys have to realize it's not telling a woman's story, it's telling the woman's story. My story was told by Catherine Hardwicke when she written it, but Taraji P. Henson, shout out to her, she directed that movie. And Jennifer Hudson, she just brought it on home. Y'all saw what she did, right? And so when I sat there and watched it being filmed, it was authentic and it was real. And I can appreciate being a part of something that's so much bigger than us. We're one dot in this whole big old world, but we got to be a good dot. And we got to be a dot that's seen and heard, okay?
Leena, how do you feel about representing India with your movie in this amazing mix of female talent from across the world that Tell It Like a Woman has brought together?
I'm extremely honored to be part of this film, and just this movement, we do it together, I think is such an important and powerful voice that we need today. Though it's unfortunate that we have to create something like this to even have a voice, but I'm grateful that we do it together, is doing, bringing women's stories made by women for everybody, because we have to do it together. We can't do it just by women alone. We have to do it together.
Jasmine, why did you decide to use comedy to empower women?
So I've done comedy for several years, and to give a little backstory, I first started doing comedy because comedy is a very male-dominant field. And shout out to the ladies, because we're funny too, okay? And, I feel like comedy just empowers women because comedy brings a message. So, there's a way of getting a message across, and that's comedy. And I feel like that bringing comedy, it brought more of a voice to women. And I don't know, so basically, long story short, I started doing it because I wanted to be a voice for women. Like I said, comedy is such a male-dominant field that you don't necessarily see it. And I've done sketches, I write comedy and everything. And because of me and a lot of other women, I feel like we have empowered other younger women to do the same thing, to write, to act, to everything. And I feel like that is great because comedy brings that message. And I'm just happy to be a woman that can empower other women.
Catherine, why is a movement like We Do It Together important to you?
Well, I think it's like we heard all the great horrible statistics at the beginning of this, and we do want to change it. We do want to hear interesting, wild story. I love seeing a story about a woman, with her kids and making all the food. A whole other world that I never experienced. In all these stories. So just seeing women as a subject and really understanding their lives, it's very exciting. So thank you for doing this, Chiara.
Thank you. Leonor, how is to be a Latina in the industry?
Well, let me tell you, it ain't easy. And I think I don't want to bore you with statistics, but it's very telling that for every dollar a white male makes in the United States, a Latina will make just a little more than half, 53 cents. And that's much less than a white woman will make, which is close to 83 cents a dollar. That translates also to my industry, not only to us Latinas, but us women in general. There are very few cases in which a male lead in a movie will say, it ain't fair that she's getting paid a third of, or a fourth or an eighth of what I'm getting paid. She should be getting equal pay. And those things we're starting to see them populate the change of the landscape of my industry, of the movie industry. But for us Latinas, thank God there's a few trailblazers that are doing incredible work that really take on the patriarchy and the way things have been established, like Zoe Saldana or Eva Longoria, and that are really demanding to be the one, to be equally respected, paid, and considered. And also that our stories are being told, that finally Latin, thanks to the platforms like Netflix and Amazon, our stories are also being seen across the world. My culture has more visibility. So that pleases me greatly. I understand how much there's left to do, but I also am very happy to see the seeds of change sprouting at this point.
Thank you. Kim, tell us when you received the phone call that Jennifer Hudson was doing your movie, and how do you feel about that your story has been represented in the movie?
So first of all, my name is Kim Carter. You guys can tell I have a really dynamic personality. And so when I was approached by Catherine Hardwicke about the movie, I had just became a top 10 CNN hero. So out of 50,000 nominations in 8 different countries, I made it to the top 10. So I had a lot of folks calling me. Some was kind of cuckoo, you know? And so when she approached me, I was like, okay, seems real. I've researched her. She's real. Okay, this might happen. So I was minding my business in my house one day, and I get a phone call that says, hey, I'm the assistant to Taraji P. Henson. I'm like, Cookie from Empire, that Taraji P. Henson? And they said, yes, well, she's going to, do you have a moment to get on Zoom? I'm like, yeah, I can get on Zoom. Because the COVID, we all learn how to do Zoom on the COVID, right? So I get on Zoom, too. So I'm sitting there, she gets on. She has, like, a little face mask on. Like, she just got on there. Hey, girl. I was like, Cookie, is that you? And she was like, yes, I want you to know that I've been talking to Catherine. I think your story is really great. And I'm dying. I would love to direct it. And she was like, well, who do you want to play you? And I was like, Cookie? And she was like, no, I'm on this side of the camera. And she said, I'm going to find somebody and I'll get back with you. So I was like, okay. So then I would be driving sometime and she would call, hey, Kim. I'd be like, you know what I'm saying? I picture myself. And then so she said, can we get on Zoom tomorrow? Okay, we get on Zoom, and I'm sitting on the screen, and then voila, there goes Jennifer Hudson. All I could do was say, OMG. You brought the diva to the screen. Jennifer Hudson, the 17th Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony winning Jennifer Hudson with her own Jennifer Hudson show. That Jennifer Hudson right there, right, was on the screen talking to me. Now, I think good of myself, but that day I was like, oh my God, I'm bitching myself. And so, if you saw the story, I have to be very vulnerable in that, right? But see, the power comes from being vulnerable because there's some woman somewhere right now that's in some kind of pain or some kind of suffering, and she needs to know she can come out of that and stand on all 10 of her toes and go from breaking laws to making laws, from being homeless to building affordable housing. She needs to know that it's possible. So my story has to be authentic. So Jennifer Hudson playing me, it was perfect. Getting the call, it was perfect. And even more perfect is being right here. We ain't in the White House. We in the United Nations. Y'all don't hear me though. We with the world right now. We with the world. This is big. This is big. So that's how I'm feeling. Kim Carter, 4408 on Instagram. I wrote a book. It's called Waking Up to My Purpose. You can find that on our website, www.timeforchangefoundation.org.
Leena, since We Do Together is about making women the subject in the film narrative, I'm curious, how do female-driven film to India?
Not very well. So culturally, we are a very star-obsessed culture. And to reach a point where your film does well, you have to be objectified for many, many years through many, many films to then deserve a subject to do well. So a lot of films were made with great actors, but not necessarily big stars, don't really get watched, get boxed in female-oriented film, and that's not a good word in the commercial sense in cinemas. So, I need a huge change there.
Okay, thank you. Last question for Jasmine. You're very active in social media. So what are the positive effects of social media has made on empowering women?
I would say it definitely gives women like me a voice. Social media is the new freedom of speech. And I think social media is very empowering because it gives women another voice. We've been silenced for so long. And social media is a great way for women like me and other women to voice our opinions and another, like I said, another way of freedom of speech. And I think it's very empowering.